Happy Friday. Let's see who's coming tonight. Moose. Hey Moose. Number 1. Candy Teeth. Reynoso. Jumu. Oh my goodness, all kinds of folks. That was fast. Happy Friday, everybody. I am just 1 minute from getting off work and ready to talk to you guys a little bit before I start the weekend. Hello. Hey, Caitlin. Ultimob. What's up, Abdel? Hey, Animatable Alex. What's up? Black Bear. Everybody doing good? Back at work, if you're working. Back at school, if you're schooling. I don't know what you're doing. Hey, Sebi. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, it's nice. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast with the Sab Dog on Tuesday. We're going to talk about who knows. We're just doing a podcast. We'll see what he's interested in knowing. Do you have any hot toys? What do you mean by hot toys? Is that a brand? I don't think I do. If that's what you're talking about. If it's a brand. What are your plans for the weekend? Oh, I don't know. My daughter's having a sleepover right now. So me and my wife are going to hang out. We'll probably go for a hike tonight. And watch a movie, get some dinner. Saturday, I'm going to do a little bit of art. We're getting a lot of progress on our Viking film that we've been working on. Shelly finished the mold of the wolf. I'm really close to finishing the new sculpt of the Viking. And then I'm going to be starting a third character. And Shell's going to start molding the Viking. So a lot of work there. We might go to the skate park tomorrow, me and my daughter. And Sunday, I'm definitely going to be doing some work because my wife is at a course where she's a therapist. That's what she does for a living. So she's going to be out at a course, and my daughter does D&D on Sunday. So I'm going to have some Justin animation time all to myself. So maybe I'll do a live while I'm animating. I'm almost done with my collaboration my next collaboration that I'm doing. So Ultimob, thank you. Making puppets, yes. All right. We got all kinds of folks here tonight. Let's see. Well, tonight, I'll give it a few minutes before we start talking, but I was going to talk to you guys about tools in animation, and all the tools you develop and get over the years of animating, knowing what you need and what can come in handy. Oh, you had that Woody doll back there? Yeah, it's awesome. I think about turning that thing into a puppet all the time. I know I could animate the crap out of that guy, make it look like real life Toy Story. So one of these days, if I get a little bored, which is doubtful, but I might have to bring that guy to life. Looking forward to your Frantic collab. Well, thank you, Black Bear. Me too. I've started. Hey, what's up, Frank Abney? My fellow BMX animator. What's up, man? Congrats on the short coming out. I know what it means to make a short film. It takes a lot of work, especially while you're working a full-time job. I've been doing that for years. I get it. Yes, I do skate. I skate with my daughter. I'm a BMX guy, so I always think I'm not a skater, but I do skate. We go to the skate park. In fact, I hardly ever ride my bike anymore, but I feel I'm a BMXer for sure. Like, that's what I love and grew up doing so much. But nowadays, I just go to the skate park and I ride bowls with my daughter. A massage therapist? No. My wife is a trauma therapist. Very different. She's dealing with a lot of people with psychological issues and needing help. Hey, buddy. Okay, well, hey, get some footage at the skate park. Oh man, I'm not a skater. I'm too embarrassed to show my footage at the skate park. I'm not doing much. I just ride the bull. I cruise. I can pop out maybe 5 inches out of the pool. That's about it. I'm not getting any air or anything. But like I said, I'm a BMXer. But that's one of the cool things, Frank, that out here is like for a long time the skate parks were closed. So it's so nice to be able to go back and feel like alive and like the world's still open. Just getting into the skate park, it helps my mood so much in life. Just bought an adapter for my DSLR so I can start stop motion. Woohoo! Awesome, exciting. All right, we got some questions here. Can you name a happy accident while animating and a terrible accident? Oh man. Happy accidents, they're more like ideas, I'd say, more than anything, because stop motion is so slow that you get ideas where the character or the puppet wants to do something different. Come on in, Belly. Come on. My dog is scratching at the door again, wanting to come in. Come in. Go. And specifically, I can't think of like anything other than the puppet telling me they wanted to go a different direction or me getting a different idea while I was animating. So that kind of happy accident has happened a bunch of times over my life, less in the professional realm and more in my garage. Because in the professional realm, if you're working on a feature film, the directors want to know everything you're doing. So getting ideas has to happen in the blocking phase. Can't happen past there. And then the worst accident is when I was working on my very first stop motion film, Gerald's Last Day, in my garage. I was working on a shot where the dog was flicking his bowl all over the place and the food particles were going everywhere. And I would support the food particles on these little wires, right? And because it was to scale, I was using the dog or the cat food as my miniature dog food. And so I glued it on there overnight, right? So while I go to sleep and then come back to animate the next day, all of the food particles were gone because my cat had eaten them in the middle of my shot while there's 20 food particles flying around the air. And I was like, no! But I managed because, you're an animator, you had to develop an eye to glue everything back onto the wires and continue their motion into the next day. So that was the worst accident I think I've ever dealt with in my own work. For sure. What's better, comics or animation? You can't ask me that question. I love animation. I love seeing movement. And obviously when I grew up reading comic books, so I love comic books. They are magic, but it's a very completely different medium, and both are so strong in very different ways. But I am a mover, and I like to see things move, so animation gets the lean for me. I love animation. I wanted to animate any two-dimensional image I ever found as a kid. Are you good at 3D animation? Yeah, I think I'm okay. I work as a professional. I've been working as a professional 3D animator for 25 years. So yeah, I think I'm decent. I'm employable. I work for a studio called Blizzard, doing CG cinematics. That's what I do every day for my job. So stop motion, I do professionally too, but I obviously, it's also a hobby because I don't do it as often as I do my CG. Good morning. Just ordered an Eldachrome system and might try stop motion with it since it has those options. Do you have an experience with those systems? I do not. I don't even know what an Eldachrome is. Good morning from Indonesia. What's up, David? Okay, so I think it's good enough. It's early enough to talk about tools. Talk about tools in stop motion. I'm gonna head on down to the garage. Hey, Aiden. She might have to use the restroom. Oh, she did? Okay. Tools for stop motion. Let's see here. Going to the garage. So, anytime you work at a professional studio, I knew this the very first time that I did my first job on Robot Chicken. I went there and I didn't bring any tools with me because I didn't know I was supposed to bring tools as a professional animator. So they had carts, and they had guest carts for people like myself, right? Or a guest animator maybe that doesn't have their tools. And on your cart, you would have all kinds of tools that are regularly used in animation, in stop motion animation. So some of those tools can be tie downs, right? So I have all kinds of tie downs of 632, 440, different gauges for different puppets that I make or use, really giant ones to really thin ones. I kind of keep those with me everywhere I go. Most studios will provide those or have places where you can get them. But for me, at home on my cart, I always have all kinds of gauges of tie downs. I always have thin wire, right? Thin aluminum wire. Thin aluminum wire can be used for anything. Tying characters' feet down, tying hands down, supporting like a piece of food particle like I was just talking about in the air. Like you can rig up anything with small amounts of wire. So I always keep thin wire in my kits. Toothpicks. Always keep toothpicks because you can get in there and peel off maybe some of the sticker mouths or peel off some of the clay eyelids or eyebrows. Some just fine-tuned shaping is very regular part of stop motion. Magician's wax. I always keep magician's wax. This is something you should have on your cart, and it's very common at studios because if you're using sticker mouths, you mix some wax in there, it'll stick on the character's face. If you have clay, you can mix the wax into the clay, and then the clay becomes stickier, and then you're able to animate it a little better. I will use lots of other types of wire. There's so much rigging that can be done with aluminum wire, so I have tons of it. I have kits of Allen wrenches for all kinds of bolts and little miniature screws and stuff like that. I just have them on hand because if you're working with a real puppet, it might have an armature. If you're working with set pieces that might be drilled down, you gotta have tools to get things out. Now, of course, your drills, right? Every animator in stop motion has to have a drill because you're constantly drilling holes into the floor. As you can see here, there's floor holes everywhere. Every time my character takes a step, moves a foot, I drill a hole in, and that's how I support the character down. In fact, I can show you right now. I'm starting a new animation, and I've got my character here running on the rig. And if you look underneath, you can see some holes. And he's about to stick his foot down, which will require a drill. Hold on, I got a question and I will continue. Is CG and 3D animation harder to understand than stop mo? No, it's way easier. Way easier. CG is, I love CG, guys. I do it for a living. It's so much easier. I think anyone can be a good 3D animator. All you have to know is learn the craft of animation and apply it and practice, and you can become a good CG animator. Stop motion has so many limitations and so many problems. If you're not a problem solver, forget it. If you don't have patience, forget it. If you aren't interested in learning 75,000 techniques from puppet building, set building, lighting, cameras, armatures, molding. I can go on and on and on. Props, you will not like stop motion. It is so hard just to get to your first frame of animation, and then there's gravity, and then there's your armature, and then there's clay and destruction of your puppet. There's so many things that happen that make it difficult to animate. The computer does so much for you and allows constant manipulation, changes, improvements. It's uncomparable. In 2D, you have to be able to draw. If you're not a great artist, you can still animate. But understanding how to be, to be a good draftsman is very, very big part of being a good 2D animator. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of practice. It's just you, though. It's you and the pencil and the paper and your brain and how good of a drawer you are, and understander of movement. But 3D CG is the easiest. It just is. It's the easiest form. Let's see here. Can you name a happy accident? I already did that one. Okay. Sorry. Do you have any book recommendations for learning the art of animation? Yes, I say it every single live stream. Animator Survival Kit. It's invaluable. Before it was ever a book, you had to actually go out and take a course with Richard Williams, which I did several times. In the old days, his all of that being available to you guys in a book is incredible. Read it again, apply it, and read it again, and read it every couple of years, and continue to grow. It's the number one book I recommend to beginners or students. But stop motion is magic. It is the most magic. It's the closest thing to magic ever, stop motion. Just so you guys all know, there's nothing as close to real life, real world magic as stop motion. I love it. Okay, I'll go back to my kit a little bit more here. So we talked about drills. So the next super mega valuable piece of equipment that you need is the hot glue gun. This is so important in stop motion because you have to secure every piece of the set, right? So like if anything wiggles, and everything will wiggle, just letting you know in stop motion animation, it can ruin your shot. You need to make sure every prop is locked down. You need to make sure every corner, every table is solid, glued to the ground, having heavy bags on it. Every light is locked down and glued down. Every camera is locked down and glued down. All that stuff moving, it's over. See that curtain back there? If that thing starts swimming, your blue screen's not going to be clean. There's a million things. These little crumbs all over the floor here, those things start bouncing and scribbling around, you got problems. So you got to have like a little vacuum cleaner. You got to have all kinds of things to keep it moving. Handy wipes. Handy wipes. Keeping your hands clean is very important. And I admit to being fairly lazy about this sometimes because it's a pain in the ass. But here I am working with a clay character, right? And I don't know if you can see, it's got gray pants with a blue t-shirt. Guess who's got dirty gray pants bleeding into his blue t-shirt? That guy right there. Why? Because I didn't wash my hands. And I'm not too worried about it in the shot because it's a pretty fast-moving shot where you're not really going to notice it. But if you're doing real professional work, you can't let the face get dirty, and it will. If you look back at some of the old cartoons like Rudolph, all the old Rankin Bass stuff from the old days, you look at those hands of those puppets, you look at those faces, all the leftover wax from the mouths changing, the hands start getting dirty crumbs on them and crumples, they start discoloring over the course of a film because they're getting touched more and more and more, getting dirtier and dirtier. Okay, I'll get back to some questions here. How can I study with this book? I have the book, but I don't know how to use it the right way. Well, read it. what it's teaching you is the fundamentals of animation, the craft, right? So apply anticipation to your work, and apply good posing, clean posing, apply balance, timing, spacing. Applying all of this to your work is going to make it stronger. They're not just little things you read. Oh, this is a pose. This is how you do a walk. This is how you do a run. The stuff that makes it magic is all of those fundamentals that I just mentioned right there. Lines of action. There's so much to it that's going to make your work stronger. So you need to apply it, everything in that book, to any animation you do. Because if your character's looks like it's going to fall over, it looks phony. If it doesn't have weight, it looks phony. The illusion of life that we're here to create is not being communicated as well as it should. Is a motorized slider and panning system? It's a motor. Oh, that must be the one you were talking about earlier. Do you know the movie Pidgelarga? I do not. Never heard of that. I will have to look that up. Can you just glue it instead of drilling? No, you don't glue characters down because it destroys the character a little bit. It also leaves a big mess, which, if you're dealing with a real set, it's going to cause problems. When you drill, it's really easy. Like right here, I'm not worried about it because it's just green screen. But if this was my real set, like the He-Man stuff I did, you just take clay and you mix the color that matches the green or matches the purple kind of blue that I had in my Eternia Snake Mountain set, and you just fill the hole with some clay after the foot leaves. No one notices. It's just a nice little magic trick. There's so many things we need to be worried about to get good animation. Yeah, there is. It's not easy or anybody be able to do it. Good clean arcs, tracking all the body. It's very important, but it's just practice. It's hard work. It's just hard work, like anything. Okay, let's see here. Okay, what programs do you use to edit your stuff aside from Dragonframe? Well, see, this is that thing that I keep getting confused by. Everyone says edit, I think, from Europe or other places outside of Canada or United States, North America. So, edit to me is like Premiere, like editing movie footage or something like that. I use Adobe Premiere. I'll bring my frames into there and I'll put it into a movie form, or After Effects to bring my frames in and output a movie. Those are the two programs I use. After Effects when I want to do like special effects like smoke or, an impact or something like that, or green screen. I'll pull the key in After Effects. But really, those are the only programs I use outside of Dragonframe to take the pictures. Getting better at animation. Awesome. Hard work. Can magnets work well in place of your tie downs? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. Magnets to me are movable. They are not solid objects. The way I animate is when I want my feet placed down, I want them locked down. So if they're magnets, they're still able to slide around and move and wiggle, and then that creates hassle for me as an animator and possible jiggling and all the things we don't want. So I don't like magnets. Some people have used magnets before, but I'm not a fan of them at all. So I talked about clean hands, talked about sticky wax, I talked about the hot glue gun. And again, like when I said the magician's wax, you can use museum wax. This works great too. I have it on here, using it all the time. Let's see here. Clamps, little things like, again, these are just my basic tie down tools. I always have flying rigs, which I talked about a little bit last week. But as you can see here, it's just an armed rig on a heavy foot. And this is it's a nicer one because I was becoming more professional. I didn't want to just use a 5-pound weight anymore. but it's just really sillily attached to the back of that character. I just threw a wire around his belly and then I hot glued it to the end. So it's super homemade grunky, but it works. Needing a flying rig is I think very important to making sure you're able to leave the earth whenever you're animating. So I consider that a very mandatory piece of equipment. There's little things, and I wouldn't say this is necessary, but having measuring tools can be helpful. I think I showed last week again how on my camera slider, I have an IKEA tape, which when I would go to IKEA, I would just grab a big handful of their measuring tapes because they're very helpful and they come in handy as you're animating. And as you can see here, I laid it down on this slider here. And by the way, this is an 80/20 aluminum rail. And this is a carriage on top. And last week I said I was going to show you guys or send a link on what it is. But you can just attach your camera to this thing and then get a nice little tracking camera move. But like I was saying there, if you look at the IKEA tape, I can be like, okay, just 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, whatever my move is. And then that's going to allow me to maybe break down a shot for a camera move. So a ruler, measuring tape is good while you're animating. What else do I use? That's pretty much clay. I mean, I've talked about it, just having clay of a bunch of colors to fill in the holes that you drill. So usually when you're working for a certain studio, they're prepared for whatever set it is, and the teams will give you the clay mix that you need to fill holes, or create eyelids or eyebrows, whatever it is for your character. Let's see here. When adding effects in post, do you change the frame rate to accommodate the stop motion look style? No, I haven't done that yet. Yeah, I don't worry about that kind of mix. Like if I'm using a frame, an effect from 30 frames per second versus my 24 frames per second that I animate at, I don't really worry about it. You can if you want, but I don't think anyone will notice, especially in effect stuff. It's like, what is it? Is it smoke? Is it a gun blast or something like that? It's not that big a deal. It's pretty quick, and it's just to kind of put a cherry on top of what you're animating. How do you prep puppets to connect to a rig? I struggle with toys. You got to get a hot glue gun. Yeah, I'm brutal to toys, but I've only animated a few of them. I literally will drill right into the butt or right into the back of my character, and then I just put a square stock in there, which I'll show you. This is one of the other things, actually, I should say, is I keep a bunch of square stock, brass square stock. You can get it from any hobby store, art store. But what I do is, as you see there, this is a nice thin square, right? So this will attach maybe to my rigging, as you can see, and then that'll match to go into my character, right? So I can put a square stock, I can glue a square right into the back of one of my figure's backs or butt, and then I can get the matching side over here on one of my rigs, and then I can shove it right in there, and it gives me a really stabilized rig point. So that's how I do it. Okay, what is my opinions on Blender? I've never used it, but my opinions are good. It's another tool. I have a lot of friends that are using it, even 2D friends, to get really cool, easy backgrounds to animate with. So I think it's an awesome tool, but I haven't played with it. I work in Maya in CG, and I'm very specifically animating all day. So I don't have, I haven't really explored too many of the other tools outside of what I do because I'm busy as heck. I animate all day, and then I animate here in the garage all the time. I'm doing a lot of stuff. Great super special effects indeed. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Do you listen to music while animating? At work, I do. That's a big thing where, like, you're reading Animated Survival Kit. Richard Williams tells the story about how he got yelled at by one of the greats. Never listen to music while you're animating. I absolutely listen to music while I'm animating. If I'm not doing dialogue, I have music on, or podcasts, or movies, whatever. Anything that inspires me or keeps me going and grooving. When I animated here in stop motion, I have movies on all the time. Even when I'm doing dialogue, sometimes I have movies on here, just stuff that inspires me. And it's not like I'm listening to them really. It's more like their background noise. I look over, as an animator, you're pretty able to focus, I think, as a skill. So I don't really have any struggles there. I just love animating. And I love movies, and I love inspired movies that made me want to do this. So I have them playing all the time. When should I use twos instead of ones? So this is a big question for me when it's required. So like if I'm doing a fast move, I almost always use ones because I want more information. Twos and fast moves, there's not enough information for me, for my taste. Slow moves like eases, outs, I can pop some twos in there because moves are at that level of tiny, tiny, tiny eases. It's really hard to get a puppet to move that small. So I don't mind throwing in twos in a lot of the smaller sections, the slower sections. Otherwise, I like to use ones everywhere I can, especially during fast stuff. If you could be any character from any series, game, movie, who would you be and why? Oh man. I don't know. Who would I be? I like Conan. I'm a big Conan fan. I grew up in the 80s, and I love Frazetta's artwork, and I love the barbarian stuff. King by his own hand. I like that whole concept a lot. Maybe Conan. Shows you how old I am. When I animate my little videos, I just watch Missing Link and Wallace and Gromit. Oh, that's cool. Whatever inspires you, right? Vico? Okay, once you have a camera, what equipment do you need to adapt it to the computer and Dragon Frame? You just need a USB card. That's it, just a USB. See here? There's my camera. Here's a cord. If you can see the cord, it goes right over to my box computer, and that's it. Both my cameras that are going on right now, the time-lapse and the real camera, just USB go right to the computer, and Dragon registers them. What are you going to make an Akira stop motion? You know what's funny is I watched Akira last night, Robbie, with my daughter. It was her first time seeing it, and I remember when I was in art school 25 years ago, I was shown Akira, and that was the first real anime I'd ever seen in my life. And it was pretty cool. It was a little weird feeling to me. I remember back then. I liked it much better last night than I did the first time I saw it 25 years ago. But believe it or not, I have an Akira bike because the design of the bike was really cool, meaning toy. And you're the first person that's requested an Akira thing, but who knows? Maybe I'll do something sometime. It's not a bad idea. There's certainly an audience for it. Do you ever smear frames with toys? Yes, I do. I'll smear frames all over the place. Extra limbs in Paranorman, I did that. Extra heads. Yeah, it's a really effective tool. Sometimes when you're doing really huge, fast moves, like imagine like a sword going like that, right? What did you see? You just saw a blur, right? In that case, I might drop in a couple of extra arms and a big sheet of plastic to make that blur effect. Because in stop motion, because we don't have motion blur, it can look really like the information isn't there that you need to know that the sword slice just went by. So I definitely will use any 2D or animation tricks, period, to get the effect that I want as an animator. Yeah, those are fun. That's like the magic tricks of what we do. Let's see here. Do you use an X sheet to help with timing? When I'm at Leica, yeah, I use an X sheet all the time. Or sometimes when I work at a professional studio, I'll ask for an X sheet. I'm kind of old fashioned that way. I like to plan my stuff out in like, I don't know, like on a treasure map. I always call it my treasure map. I like to have little notes on what my plan is. So sometimes I'll do it with little thumbnails, or sometimes I'll just do it on the X sheet. Yeah, so I do use X sheets. Let's see here. Do you ever plan out some storyboards before animating? Yeah, all the time. Look at my stuff. I usually will share some of my process. If you ever go to my YouTube channel, Justin Rosh Animation, you'll see a lot of my little storyboards to tricks, to some of the tests I've done. And they're just little tiny drawings, little thumbnails, where I'll draw the poses out so I have the choreography in mind of what I'm going to do before I get out there. How do I manage time and speed? You know, at this point, Alexander, I feel it because I've been doing this a long time. And at first, you never put in enough animation frames, or your animation's swimmy and slow. And it takes time to kind of develop that eye to understand, or that feel and understand you need more frames here or less frames there. But for me, it's by feel at this point, very much. Very, very much. I think stop motion is similar to sculpting in the way it literally almost anything being used as a tool or material. Absolutely, Dino Slame. It's totally sculpting. It's movement, it's life being sculpted one frame at a time. It's insane. It's such a crazy cool thing. Okay, do you use reference like all the time to animate or not? No, I do not. In CG, I should say this, in CG animation, I use, at Blizzard, I use animation reference almost every time. Almost every single time. In stop motion, no, I do not. I will on occasion, but I would say 80-20, I don't. Because I just like the rawness, figuring it out, improvisation, and just the fun. Like I said, I'm here in the garage. I don't have a boss. I don't have a director. I'm the director, right? So, and I don't have time. I don't have time to block everything out and to really work everything out. I just am like, I'm trying to get in here to animate because I have to work in the morning, or my family's asleep and I have a few minutes. I'm squeezing time to animate. So I like to just jump in and have fun. And if I fail, I fail. And if not, I have magic. So I do not use reference very often in stop motion in the garage. But at Leica, I will use it on occasion. And now it's being mandated even. So I think most people at Leica, like 99% of them, will use it every single shot. So it's a very, very common thing. I just don't like how it looks. I don't like how it looks. What paint do you recommend for painting homemade toys? I don't know. I don't know that answer because I've never really looked into it that much. I just use acrylics, and that's all I've ever really used. We'll mix it with latex when we're painting puppets and stuff like that. Okay, do you think you still have to learn stuff about animation? Absolutely, every single day. Every single day! You are growing constantly as an animator, and if you're not, then you're dying. You understand? You are not pushing yourself. You're not trying new things. Like, You get new eyes. I say it all the time to all my students. Got new eyes. You got new eyes. You can see what you couldn't see yesterday, you can see it today. It's so important. And growth. I mean, practice, growth, study. All of that is going to make you grow forever. And you're constantly doing new things. It's not like you're doing the same animation over and over. You're being thrown new scenes, new challenges, new camera angles. All of that is going to supply a lifetime of growth for you. Let's see here. Do you use earthquake gel or museum gel in addition to hot glue? I just said it earlier, but it's museum wax, which is basically earthquake gel. Same thing. It basically just helps things stick. And it also mixes into your clay really nicely. Okay, let's see. Those are pretty much the majority tools that I use. I always have, bolts to go with, of course, the tie downs that I have. I get all my tie downs 632 from McMaster's online, and power strips. I guess that's something to mention because you're pretty mobile as a stop motion animator. So you're moving around, setting up per shot, and so you pretty much every time I go to a new place, I have to move my whole computer, I have to move the whole camera, and then reset it all back up. So part of the process. Fans, I don't really keep it in my cart, but it can get really hot on set, just to let you guys know. And if you're working in a professional studio, you can't take your shirt off at work. Fans will keep you from coming out soaked in sweat by the end of the day. Okay, this is cool Q&A. Thanks for doing it. All right, good night, Robbie. Do you have a dream you would like to do in animation? Oh, so much dreams. Yes, I have multiple films that I want to make in stop motion animation that me and my wife have written, and I'm chasing it. Every week I'm chasing that dream. We're gonna pitch our stuff. We're making short films. The Viking short is going to be happening right here in a snowy forest before you know it. And we're going to be pitching that around town for a larger idea. But yeah, I have a lot of big stories I want to tell someday, and I'm chasing it down. How much money have you invested in this career? I mean, that's a weird question because I wouldn't say I've invested. Like, I work as a CG animator, right? So I have a computer. I don't know, whatever a computer costs. I shoot stop motion animation, so I have a camera. The computer is right over there. That shoots the photos, right, of a camera. It's hard to say over the years. I buy wood, I buy clay, but it's fun. So I don't really think of it as a cost. I think of it as living life. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here enjoying myself, sculpting with my wife, molding, doing all these crafts and learning all this new stuff. And I think of it as more like breathing than investing. And then it provides me a skill, obviously, that I'm able to get paid to do this as well. So it's a weird one. I would say it's a lot less than ever going to school, that's for sure. All right. Have you ever tried claymation? Yes, I have. You should check out my work. I did a claymation werewolf recently. It was basically my first real claymation. And I did a transformation. I'm going to put out an episode probably this weekend, maybe Monday, on how I created the claymation werewolf. So you should go check it out. The thing right here I'm doing right now, that's clay. The collaboration is with a clay person, so I decided to use clay as well. How do you cover up genuine mistakes like a spill or a set piece being broken mid-shot? You don't. You probably start over. If there's something that bad, you probably just start over. And that's part of stop motion's pain, but it's part of the game. What do you do when all things are not going well? Learn a lesson. Consider it a lesson. Start over. Try again. It's gonna happen. You're gonna fail. That's how you learn. Every time you're failing, you're learning. Once I heard an animator always finds a way. Do you think that's totally true? I think it can be true. I certainly improvise my way through tons and tons of weird stuff. Like this one. I'm animating this character in the collaboration I'm doing, and I did this whole build of a character, and I forgot to put in a rig where I could fly him around. And he's jumping all over the place. And I'm like, what was wrong with me? But what did I do? I just wrapped wire around him, and I hot glued stuff, and I figured it out. And it works fine. It works fine. Does using action figures of known characters interfere with copyrights? I don't think so. At this point, no. Online, there's people doing it constantly. I think it helps sell figures. I think it helps create a subgenre of people playing with their toys in a whole new, exciting way. So, no, I think you would have to do something pretty bad to have someone come after you for copyrights, meaning like naughty or something. But I think most of the time it's really exciting. It's the next version of play. It's what I would have done as a kid if I ever had access to bringing my action figures to life. So it's pretty awesome. Okay. Favorite 2D, 3D, and stop motion. Favorite 2D. Favorite 2D. Pinocchio or Emperor's New Groove. I love. Favorite 3D. Tangled. Favorite stop motion? Nightmare Before Christmas. Definitely. That's a fun one. What do you think is the best way to recover motivation when you lose it? Stay inspired. Have you ever seen my room? My office is covered in things that inspire me. I have toys, action figures, movies, cells, collectibles, all the things that made me want to do what I do. Be an artist, be an animator, make movies, make special effects. I'm surrounded by that stuff. Books, everything that I would just comb over as a young person to just be like, wow, someday I could do that, right? Like, watch movies, do the things that really inspire you, and then go back and jump back in and apply that inspiration. That's what I do. If I ever lose motivation, which I don't, unfortunately I don't, because I'm always pumped up. I have so many freaking ideas constantly. You have movies, and what your favorite animation movie and stop motion and your Madagascar 1, 2, or 3? I think I just answered that one. Madagascars were fun. They were fun. Oops. Let's see here. What was your dream when you were a kid? Did you animate stop motion when you were a kid? No. I drew. I was a 2D artist all growing up, and I assumed I would be some kind of a 2D animator or a special effects person because I was watching Creature Features and Harryhausen movies, and that's what I wanted to do as a professional, because I didn't know until I figured out that was a real job. I was just you're an artist. So I was an artist. I just did 2D stuff. If I would have known stop motion, I'm sure I would have went that direction a lot earlier. Okay. Any toy manufacturers you watch for? I'm not sure if you do too much toy stuff, but He-Man looked great. Thank you. I love Motu. I have a big collection of toys in my office and in my workplace. I definitely have a lot that I look at. I go to bigbadtoystore.com and I check out their stuff all the time. Manufacturers, like Gentle Giant does a bunch of statues that I love. The ones that I grew up on, like He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers. Those were the ones that made such an impact on me as a kid, Ninja Turtles, that when new stuff comes out for them, I'm usually taking a peek and looking at it. But most of it's based on projects or things that I enjoy. As a moviegoer or a cartoon watcher. But I'm always looking at the new stuff coming out. Have you ever tried doing a long exposure to create motion blur? I saw Mike Dietz do it for Armor Super cool. Yeah, I've tried it a few times. I've tried it with light. I've tried it with kind of like a Go Motion type thing where I've just wiggled the character to try and get it to work. Like you're talking about Armor when he was zipping across the rooms and doing all that cool stuff. That was pretty magical. I don't do it very often, but I've flirted with it a little bit. It's magic, so I wanted to try. How do you deal with flicker on Dragon? I use LEDs and have everything on manual mode. I'm at a new studio here in my garage, and it's flickering again. Not that bad, but it does flicker. And what I do is you can use a deflicker program or a plugin. I can't remember what it's called. It's just called deflicker or something on After Effects, and that will help you a lot. Otherwise, I mean, this sounds gross, but you'd have to go into like Photoshop or After Effects and frame by frame try to match them up a little bit. So I would just invest in a deflicker if you're getting a lot right now. I'm going to invest here, like I had in my old garage, in a power conditioner, which will make sure that the power is always at a constant rate, and then I won't have to worry about it anymore. But it's expensive, so I have to save up for it. I became your fan since I met your work. Send me a huge hug here in Brazil. Peludo Tattoo. Hey, thank you from America to Brazil. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching my stuff. It means a lot. Okay, what live action movie do you like? I love Me Gusta la Verga. Oh, you can't ask me that. It's too much. I'm a child of the mid 70s to the 80s was my formative years. I love all the RoboCop, Terminator, Jurassic Parks, Nightmare Before Christmas, Neverending Story, Goonies, like anything you could say stereotypical 80s guys would like. I'm probably on that train. But I love film from the 60s all the way to now. I'm just a huge film nerd, but big science fiction guy, Clash of the Titans, all the old Harryhausen monster stuff. Those were my stuff. All right. This is my jam. What do I think about Studio Ghibli? I think they're awesome. I am not a huge anime fan. I've said it many times. I appreciate anime. I appreciate Studio Ghibli especially. The artistry is amazing. But it's never touched me. Like, I don't know if I'm too American or what, but it's never touched me story-wise the way some of the American stuff has or European stuff has. And I feel like a lot of their stuff is really long, too long, what I would say. Sometimes a little too slow. And I'm from the old days when movies were a lot slower. And then some of it was a little too weird for me. When I really got introduced to some anime in college. But I appreciate it. And Studio Ghibli is the stuff I probably appreciate the most. I like Spirited Away. I like Howl's Moving Castle. There's a bunch of the stuff that I really enjoy, but I don't love it. I enjoy it. But I really appreciate the artistry. Really appreciate it. All right. Hi, I'm a historian and have always wanted to support gaming companies. Are there roles like that? Yeah, there is. I've never heard of it till very recently. Blizzard has a historian. I didn't know that. I work for Blizzard. I think because they've been around for 20 years, 20 plus years, and they have a huge amount of artwork, and they have a huge amount of lore in all of the worlds they've created, they have a historian, but I have never heard about that at any other place. I think most game companies are not around for 25 years. So it's definitely a new thing. So I have no idea how to give you advice there. If you like G-Man, what you don't talk about Great Star the Indian American. If you like G-Men, what you don't talk about Great. Do you mean Brave Star? Brave Star. Doom 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 doom. Brave Star. I watched Brave Star growing up. I like He-Man, yeah, and Brave Star. I watched them both. Brave Star was only on for maybe a season. Yeah, I don't think it made it, and it did play everywhere in America. There was a limited amount of, certain states here didn't have it. But I grew up in Florida where we had Brave Star, and I liked it a lot. I would watch it after school when I was about 12 years old every day, and it was cool. I really enjoyed it. Brave Star, yeah. It turned into a bear and eyes of an eagle and all those awesome puma. My favorite film is Back to the Future. Amazing. Perfect 10 movie. Always. And I'm making my first short film about time travel. That's a good combo. Back to the Future is amazing filmmaking, storytelling, acting, everything. It's so good. So good. If you have an iPad, what's your go-to apps on the go creating? I don't have an iPad. My daughter does. She has some drawing programs, but I do not have an iPad. I'm pretty much, this phone is the only thing I got that's not my computer or my hands. Let's see. Really? How the heck do you break into that? Oh, I think you're talking about the historian thing. Yeah, I have no idea. I imagine you have to get some kind of historian degree or something and then be a gamer. What do you think about Soyonoputa? I have no idea. Are you making me say weird words? Are you being a naughty person? I don't know what that is. Somebody was trying to make me say bad words in Spanish last week. Not cool. I'm starting to get spider senses. Somebody's playing tricks here. Have you ever taken advantage of 3D printing or seen anyone in the industry use it? Yeah, I work at Leica. We use it every day at Leica. It's awesome. It's an amazing tool. I'm definitely going to be using it on my Viking film. I'm going to try it. I'm going through the process right now of getting a face sculpt in CG that I'm going to print out and try to do facial replacements. So I'm really excited about it. What's the best way to get involved with the gaming video community? I'm a public historian interested in applying my skills to generals I love. Lauren Bergness, I have no idea. I have no idea how to do that. I mean, I guess message boards or maybe just personal emails to contacts at HR from video game companies. I have no idea. You should try Hot Toys. It's a brand of big, hyper-realistic action figures. Most of them are pretty limited in articulation, but you do great in those. I'll look them up. I'll go on I mean, it sounds really familiar. I've probably seen them. Like 12-inch, really hyper-realistic figures with no joints. So they're, I think that's what you're talking about. Last time I asked you if you consider yourself an artist, and you said yes. Of course, yes. What is art for you? Art is creation. It's creation. It's putting your imagination into something creative. That's all art is. I create movement. I create stories. I create characters. I create life. Like, it's all art. It's all art. My wife's a dancer. She's 100% an artist. My wife makes sets. She's 100% an artist. My wife makes molds and characters. She edits film. That's art. There's an art to all of that stuff. Okay. Somebody is really making you say bad words in Spanish. Yeah, I got that sense. That's a punk. Spider senses were kicking. Thank you for telling me, Animatable Alex. What a dork. Nerd. Silly rabbit. Okay, you recommend a young artist practice CG more or stop motion if they are interested in it? If you want to be a stop motion animator, you have to focus in it. You don't need CG animation. If you are going to be a CG animator, you focus in CG animation. To be a competitive CG animator, you need to focus in it 100%. To be a competitive stop motion animator, which means employable, you need to focus. Absolutely. When are you going to animate in a movie? What do you mean? I've already animated in movies. Vico? I worked at Leica. I animated on Paranorman and Kubo and the Two Strings and SpongeBob, SquarePants. I've done a bunch of movies. If you mean my own movie, that's going to take a little bit. It's very expensive to make a movie. But I'm trying every day. What kind of skeleton do you like working with the most for puppets? I like armature wire. Here in my garage, armature wire. Because armatures break and they take a lot of maintenance. I mean, wire breaks too, but for instance, I had a recent character that used an armature and it broke after one animation. And it was just like, what a complete waste. So much work went into making that puppet for it to break in one animation. My wire stuff will last for months and I'll be doing tons of animation. So I prefer wire. But if we have a team of very expensive, highly paid, talented armaturists, then I would use one of those, like when I work at a movie studio. Because I don't have to worry about it. They just have to fix it. Is there any good habits you recommend for animation artists? Study. Practice. 1 and 2, right there. Like, practice, practice, practice. Frame through everyone's work. Frame through films. Frame through television. Break everything down. You're going to be watching everything you do in the world and thinking of it in animated terms with animated eyes. That's it. If you want to get better, practice and study. Bam. It's just hard work. That's all it is. Hard work. All right. Well, I can't believe it. I got to the bottom of the questions. Oh, new one came. Deja vu, baby. Okay, he is making you say bad words. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't see all these things go by. You know, me and my wife work sometimes together. How is it help your relationship? Because you seem very happy. It's amazing. I love working with my wife. It's amazing. We work together all the time, just so you know that. Not sometime, all the time. 50-50, all of our projects. From writing to building characters to making sets to editing the film. All of it is 50%. And it's amazing. It feels so amazing to create with your partner and be invested in storytelling. And I mean, you know, my parents didn't have a great relationship growing up. And it's almost impossible for me to imagine them creating together. But yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. You have goals, you have creativity. There's so much amazing things that come with it. I highly recommend it. Just purchase the Animation Survival Kit. Hey, no problem. All right. Thank you. Oh, God, jeez, a bunch of more questions. When animating on a ball and socket armature, do you move the shoulders to hands or joint by joint? I don't know. I've never broke it down to how I animate, but I would think that I start with the hips because that's my center of mass, my core. Everything comes from the hips. And then I probably start moving up the spine, going outward, the legs and hands. But I don't know. I'm feeling like it starts with the hips always, and then I go outward. I mean, are you going to animate in more movies? Oh, Vico, yeah, of course. I'm sure I will someday. I was asked to animate on Pinocchio, and I was asked to animate on Wendell and Wild, and I did just animate on Alien Xmas. So that was the last movie I just finished. It just came out at Christmas. Yeah, I work for Blizzard. I'm a Blizzard full-time employee, so it's hard to get time off to go animate on a feature film because I have to take time off. And Blizzard is such an amazing job that I can't leave it. So I have to literally take vacation to go animate on a film. So it's probably going to be a while. But I absolutely will work on another film, for sure. I love filmmaking. Yes, Ed Puerta sells high quality yet expensive armature. Yeah, he's super talented. Ed Puertas is super talented. Yeah, he's professional. He works like a professional stop motion person. I'm hard on puppets, just so you know, too. So when I find limitations in my armatures, it drives me nuts. And I squeeze and they can break and get loose. There's so many things that limitations I've found in my stop motion armatures that I don't have the same issues in wire because I like to squash my puppets. Thanks for that. I'll try that. I'm new to animating with ball and socket, and I'm animating every day. Awesome. That's all you need to do to get good is animate every day. Tips on animating cameras besides the IKEA ruler, like both simultaneously and characters simultaneously. Yeah. I mean, my eyes are how I animate characters. I don't animate characters with rulers typically, unless it's just them like going flying across the screen. That's the only time I'll use that. Otherwise, it's all flipping and eyes. Cameras, that's different. That's a mechanical thing. So I'll of course mathematize that stuff. If you decide to make your own film, would you be open to having other artists help you? Oh, absolutely. I need help. I need other artists' help because I want to tell a story that's bigger than just me and Shelly in our garage or me and a couple friends. I need artists. I need good artists. I need good animators. I need good molders, everything. So when we make our films, we absolutely can take interns. When we made our Overwatch shorts, we had interns on both of those. I think 3 different interns that came in and helped to learn puppets. Yeah, when we make a feature, we're going to need people for everything. So we are definitely open. Every time we start a new project, we typically will look for an intern to teach them stuff and then obviously get the help too. Cons to animating with wire puppets. Well, it breaks. One of the cons is non-clean joints. And when I say that, it means like kind of Gumby joints. Like you don't get a clean bend in your elbow, like a nice corner. You have to really babysit your corners to make sure it doesn't look gummy. So if you watch my Overwatch animations that I've done, you know, I had to really be strong about making sure I got clean elbows and knees because otherwise it can just look like a gummy bear guy, and I don't like that. That's the biggest con with wire for me. Bounce back is a term used because you'll push a joint a little distance and then it pops back a little bit because it's wire. But I'm so used to animating wire, I don't even notice bounce back anymore. I don't even notice it. What type of wire do you use for puppets? Aluminum wire. You can get it off of Amazon. Really, really simple. Just aluminum art wire. Sculpting wire, you can call it. Do you think stop motion has a future in VR? I don't know. I think sets might. I mean, you have to 3-dimensionally scan stuff. I don't understand how it'll work in VR yet. I've only worked on one VR project, and it's really cool conceptually, but you can't really get in and around the 3D set unless it's 3D scanned. So I don't know. Do I use winders at home? Yeah, I do. I have winders. for some of my jumping stuff. I have a nice winder with a vertical and a horizontal thing there. So I'll definitely use that when I'm animating. Winders are used, and they're very, very beneficial. What software is used for 3D animation in the industry? Maya. Maya, I would say, is probably your number one. If you learn Maya, you're going to be fine with any software. I liked your videos about timing, action, and calculate the movements frame by frame. Thank you, Fernando. I'm so glad you got something out of that. That's awesome. Timing is a scary part for a lot of new animators, so any little tips like that help is great. How much a 3D animator can earn in a year? A lot. That's all I'm going to say. A lot. A lot. I wanna intern. I'll pay for my own visa and flight. William, are you from UK, or I don't remember where you're from? William Patinkin. Yeah, where are you from? I thought you were American for some reason. And Vico's Brazilian, I know that. All right, Vico, good night. Friendly volunteers. Yeah, I take on help. If we have a project that's big enough, as long as you're able to really be a beneficial help to us, we can take you on. We've taken on a few people that didn't really have the skills to help us, and it was more work for us to teach them the skills than someone who comes in with a certain skill set. So we like to look at a demo reel or a portfolio or something before we take on an intern. At what age? Oops. At what age? Oh, I lost it. At what age did you start doing animation? I would say 18 or 19, real animation in college. So it was like 19, I think. Your work is great. Thank you, Klaus. I'm from India. Oh, William, you're from India. Okay. And I have an American accent. A lot of people think I'm American. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, William, awesome, man. More stop motion all over the world. I'm happy. There's been some fun stuff that's come out of India. I've seen, years ago when I was first getting in, there was this cool claymation train robbery kind of animation from India that I thought was awesome. I don't know who did it. No, I don't use a surface gauge. I just use my eyes and flicking on the frame flicker. Surface gauge is to basically show you, here I am, right? Look at surface gauge is touching my cheek. I moved it that far. Okay, 1/4 inch. New frame. Now I come back, move it 1/4 inch. It gives you an understanding of how far you've moved the puppet. If you don't have a visual representation like we do in the Harryhausen days, that's how he would know how far he had moved a character from a certain position. That's what surface gauges were. How do you contact me? Instagram. You can contact me on Instagram. You can send me a message here on TikTok, but Instagram's my best place. Yeah. Easy peasy. Okay. Have you gone to Leica's San Diego Comic-Con event? I didn't go there, but I worked at Leica, so I kind of already saw everything that they were having. I saw pictures of it. I thought about going just to see people, but I didn't end up going because I've been in the puppet vaults of Leica. I've seen all the puppets. I've touched them with my hands. The only ones I even saw some of the early Link stuff, which I didn't work on. The missing Link stuff when they were first getting that film going. Kubo was finishing up, so there was some overlap there. All right, no problem. JC, how many hours of practice did you spend at a young age? Ever heard of a 10,000 hour rule? Yeah, I have heard of that. It's very legit. It's true. You want to get good at something, you got to put the time in. I don't know how many hours of practice, 25 years of practice. And it's not just that I'm practicing at work. I actually practice at home too. I do a lot of personal work just because I love it. You know what I mean? So that obviously helps. The fact that they had Terry Hatcher at the Comic Con though, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. But that makes sense. Comic Con, right? It's all everybody geeking on everything. Any woodwork that goes into your projects, like set pieces. Yeah, yeah, we do like if we're doing, core structures of like, a mountain or core structures of a building, we might use wood for that. All right, guys, 3 more questions and I gotta run. I'm gonna go on a hike with my wife. It's Friday night hikes. I would love to apply to help in one of your projects. How can I know if you're looking for people? I'll announce it here. Here on Instagram somewhere, I will announce it. TikTok to say, hey, we're looking for some interns. So, and you can always reach out to me. I communicate with people on Instagram every day. So if you have stuff that is, a portfolio, you can send it over. Right. Aardman animator Miss Julie advised me not to use onion skin to get better movement. Nope, never use onion skin. I've never used it. I always tell this. People are always like, do you use onion skin? No, I don't know anyone that uses it. Use your eyes. Your eyes will help you, develop the vision of tracking arcs, tracking all the body parts, and then the flow. You feel the flow. To me, onion skin just gets in the way. It doesn't give you a real representation of what you're moving. So I've never used it. Ever. And because I was a 2D animator when I started, I was used to flipping paper. So flipping with my fingers was very similar. Would you and Kevin Perry do a collab like Frantic Frames? Maybe. I don't know. Kevin Perry, I know I worked with him on Kubo. I don't know if he's interested in doing collaborations because he does like magic and he does like creative entertainment with stop motion. So it's not like so much like character based stuff that I do or like special effects stuff that I'm interested in. So I don't think he'd be interested in doing a collab with me, but I absolutely would collaborate with Kevin. He's got a huge following and I'm obviously just trying to grow my following now and also just dive into this social media world so that I can, I don't know, someday have a certain kind of independence to do my own thing. So I would definitely do one, but I think he probably isn't interested in it. All right, that was 2. Do you do do you only do animation or modeling and rigging too? I only do animation in CG. I used to model. And I used to do everything in CG. When I first started, I did lighting, modeling, texturing, rigging, surfacing, everything. I did everything. I did cameras. But the more my career progressed over the last 25 years, the more I only do animation. And I haven't touched rigging in 15 years, probably. And I don't know how to model anymore. I'm sure I could pick it back up because I understand the basics, but simple objects I can model, but nope, that's it. Just animation. In CG, all I do is animation. In stop motion, I do everything. Sculpt, mold, design, 2-dimensional, build armatures, do sets, you name it. I'll do it all. Animation. Hey, John GV23, I think you're a little bit of a jerk. Just calling you out there, buddy. Total silly goose. All right. Okay. Last question. I want to intern under. If you take me, I will come there. Oh, that's very kind. I would have to see a portfolio, obviously. But I do teach privately. If any of you guys are ever interested in actually learning animation, stop motion, or CG, I do teach privately. I'm pretty picky about my students, but I take on new students. I'm just starting a new 12-week course right now. What's your experience with using different lenses to get different experiences to the viewer? My experiences are lenses are powerful, super powerful. If you're using a super wide angle lens, you're going to get some really awesome distortion on the characters and perspective. I love it. I love it. Each one of the lenses has a very different emotional response that it elicits in the viewer. So learn your lenses for sure. I seriously need to dive even deeper into the power of lenses, but I do use them and I understand the power for sure. And I'm trying to apply them more and more to my work all the time. So that's it, guys. Live stream number 6, maybe. Thank you all for coming. I hope you got some answers. Please, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got to get it up in some followers so I can have some legitimacy there. I'm going to be doing tutorials very soon. I have a new claymation episode coming out on my werewolf that will come out probably Sunday or Monday. And like I said, I'm going to be taking requests on there on content that you guys are looking for. So Justin Rosh Animation on YouTube. Please go there and subscribe. I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye, guys.